Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for yourselves. I know that you all are extremely busy people, and so we don't take it lightly that you left what you were doing to come and spend this Thursday morning with us. We also recognize that today is like a Monday because yesterday was a holiday. So we are very glad and privileged that you could make it here with us. We are going to be very efficient with time. We are going to make sure that the few hours you give us this morning count. And we're going to ensure that you take not just knowledge, but you take very practical, insights away with you from these sessions. You are our guests, and we are your hosts. So it is our responsibility for the next few hours to make sure that whatsoever you want, we make it available to you. So the Converge team are all over the place. There's Cynthia there, there's Kachi there, our general manager operations. There's Ridwan here, there's Adia. We are quite a number. So please, if you need anything, just call to any one of us, and we'd be very glad to assist and make sure that your time here is very comfortable. Okay, I shouldn't be alone. Toby, Bridget.
How are you?
Very good, Toby. I like the red cap behind you there. I wish I had one behind me here. Confirm you can hear me. Please confirm if you can hear me.
I can hear you, but very faint.
Okay. Maybe I should raise my voice. Is it a bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd let Toby introduce himself. Converge is a very proud partner and part of the Red Hat family. And Toby on the screen works out of Johannesburg, South Africa with the Red Hat team. He's been very instrumental to some of the projects that Red Hat has done here. He manages a very critical sector in our economy and has helped to grow that sector over, Toby, is it 5, 6, 7 years in Red Hat now?
6.
6 years in Red Hat. I'll let you introduce yourself to the team.
All right then. Thank you very much. I'd like to confirm if you can hear me.
Very well, sir. We can hear you very well. We can hear you very well.
All right then. Thank you very much. My name is Toby Oluwafuroko-Gundari, Regional Sales Lead for Red Hat. I look after the West Africa business as well as the Indian Ocean Island business. And with us on the virtual side of things, we have our team from Red Hat, all based out of Johannesburg here. We've got Bridget Ndal, and we've got Dani Shibangani. Thank you very much for sparing some time to connect with Red Hat and Converge. Converge is our foremost and leading Red Hat partner in the region, sitting with the most skills, I can say, to support you as customers across the region out there in West Africa. So thank you very much. I do believe and trust that today would be an exceptional time sharing knowledge amongst ourselves, both virtually and those on site in the room there. So we look forward to a successful and collaborative session today. Over to you, Akin.
Thank you very much, Toby. The comments he gave Converge, the compliments didn't go unnoticed. Thank you very much, Toby, for those very, very kind words. Thank you. Now let's begin to jump in here because for most of you, Ansible, that's the automation side of the equation, or OpenShift, that is the application side of the equation, represent various transformations, so application modernization journeys that your individual organizations have embarked, are embarking, or will soon embark upon. And our responsibility this morning is to ensure that as much as possible, we enrich you with information, documentation. We even have some demos that will be showing you live on the Ansible systems, on the OpenShift systems, that hopefully will help you to go away from here very, very, very pleased with the content. But Toby, I just wanted to ask you before we delved in, what have you seen as some of the, let's call it, industry trends. And I think one of the buzzwords these days is artificial intelligence and AI. And I know it may be high level, but just what are some of the use cases that you have seen play out, and how is Red Hat trying to deploy artificial intelligence into some of these OpenShift scenarios, particularly for a corporate organization?
Awesome. Thanks, Akan. And for the sake of everyone in the room, unfortunately, I'm unable to see the faces in the room, but I'll jump straight at it. We have the buzzwords today, sitting at serverless, sitting at AI, sitting at ML, machine learning, amongst several other buzzwords that we have out there going around the industry. At Red Hat, those are part of the things that are shaping the future of our technologies. And if we look at the likes of Ansible for automation and the likes of OpenShift for application modernization, some of the immediate capabilities that Red Hat has begun building into these solutions for our customers are basically the integration of IBM Watson AI models into Ansible, that enables customers, reduce the footprint of huge investments in skilled experts to write complex playbooks. The use cases are vast, cut across the infrastructure automation, network automation, database automation, security automation, fraud detection, among several others. AI capabilities built into Ansible can now enable customers or users at the utilization of plain English, request the AI capabilities built into Ansible to develop playbooks for any scenario, any use case that you would require across the organization. And within seconds, you have playbooks spun up that enables you apply those playbooks for the execution of your automation use cases across the enterprise. The IBM Watson AI capabilities do not just end there. It's now been infused into OpenShift, whereby you're able to utilize the same automation and AI capabilities with ML capabilities to deploy what you typically leverage data scientists to invest a lot of time developing AI models, requiring enough data, enough computing powers to deploy things on the cloud. Now with our partnership as well with the likes of NVIDIA, who powers ChatGPT, among several other tools, AI tools that you have out there, you're able to leverage OpenShift to deploy the things or the services that you typically would be deploying on-premise, that you have to navigate complexities around regulation, around compliance, and so on. Others, you're able to now bring these capabilities by deploying them on-prem. I believe with the utilization of Ansible and OpenShift, with our partnerships with the likes of Microsoft and AWS and various cloud service providers, we're also integrating our AI-enabled capabilities to ease application deployments, to ease the predictive analytics and generative AI capabilities that enables customers reduce costs, simplify operation, also innovate faster and better for improved customer outcomes. I would hand over back to you, because I know there would be a lot more you'd like to touch on in this arm of the session.
Fantastic. That's very enriching. I like how you went through that. We know that artificial intelligence is the new buzzword, but we also know that in the nuts and bolts in the engine, it's very complex. There's a very complex set of tools coming from the data science perspective that we're trying to bring on board typical tech. And then you take models and you have to build them and train them and then monitor these models in production. That first process is very complex for people organizations that have just get off the ground. And AI to help organizations.
Recording in progress.
Hi, Akan.
Yes.
I didn't pick the question you asked just now. Yes, I can now.
Just repeating the fact that
typically AI is a buzzword, but when you get into the actual use of this tool in an organization, it's very complex because you're talking about thinking models, open source models, and then building these models and training them with data and then managing them in production. And that process is really like trying to put three pieces of aircraft together. On top of AI that helps you with a framework and a set of tools that help the traditional organization to actually download these open source models and train them and build them and then take them to production. That is put it in actual code. So I do know that AI is something that is us, so I know that it is it's cutting edge to cutting edge. I know that that's from a corporate perspective. But I know that another word that companies have had for the past 4 or 5 years is cloud. And many of our customers here would have made one or more investments, whether in Azure or in AWS. And in some instances, some of those investments have not really become what they expected it to be because of the cost that follows some of those investments.
And because these costs are recurrent, you put what? You put $500,000 on your Azure or AWS environment for a year. And then by the end of month 2, you are $210,000 consumption. With OpenShift, do organizations have a way to better meter some of these consumptions and sort of limit them or at least control them to ensure that only pertinent workloads are actually being billed for? What is your view on that?
All right, then.
Thanks a lot. There's a lot of echo in there, but I think I get the grasp of the question you've asked, which I will just repeat for validation. Trying to understand what OpenShift offers customers out there to ease the ever-growing cost of leveraging the cloud, in simple terms, leveraging the various capabilities that are built in. Awesome. So first and foremost, I would approach it from saying, although cloud migration has helped a lot of organizations with their IT modernization and transformation strategies, a similar number of these organizations have had to also repatriate their workloads and data from the cloud because of improper cloud migration. This has led to sky-high cost, regulatory compliance issues, among several other concerns, right? Customers can also leverage things like OpenShift and the various capabilities that have been built into it, specifically around AI, machine learning, and our integration to various public cloud service providers' platforms to enable them overcome some of these challenges. And what we have within the likes of OpenShift, with a spice of automation built into it, are things that enables customers have access to a pre-configured and a managed cloud service container platform, whereby customers do not need to invest time and effort in building and managing those clusters manually themselves, because they come with the complexities of self-built cluster deployment and management. With OpenShift coming with pre-configured and managed cloud service offering, customers have that ease to save on time, which translates to cost. And when we also look at how the cloud partners have also billed in time past for cloud usage, pre-configuration of platforms as such has helped customers navigate those areas more smoothly. Availability.
Please 1 minute. We lost your audio. We'll get you back in a minute. While we wait to be restored, one of the things that Toby was saying as relates to consumption, cloud consumption, and how OpenShift can help is that Red Hat has partnered with Azure and with AWS, ARO, and Rosa, and other cloud platforms to ensure that the platforming, the part of the platform, the back-end controlling, is now standardized on these platforms to ensure that you're only consuming what is required. But beyond that, even from leaving the control plane now, where these have been set up on these platforms, to the compute plane, where you actually have workloads that are running in your data centers today. As we will see, in Nigeria recently, we had the cashless policy. And what happened there was that in most scenarios, customers, and just let me know when his audio is back, if you don't mind. In most of the scenarios, customers who could buy, something on the road for 800 naira, 1,500 naira, because there was no cash, now had to begin to do transfers to replace those cash transactions. And when you're dealing with maybe 1 or 2 cash transactions of 1,500, it's small, but when 230 million people have to use cash transactions on a daily basis to survive, then what most of our financial institutions saw was that your typical 40,000 transactions per hour overnight hit 60,000, hit 80,000, and hit 130,000. And when a typical financial institution sees that kind of a ramp up, that usually would happen gradually as customers increased, but now in 1 week, you're having this kind of ×4, ×5 ramp up. So what happens there is a typical infrastructure that could handle your 40,000 per hour load now begins to buckle over and fail, because now we're trying to push 130,000 transactions through in 1 hour. And so you would find that most of the people's transfers would fail, or they would be grossly delayed, and some of them would reverse at some point in the day. And so you found that during that time in Nigeria's history, the general population began to market platforms on their own, that were able to handle the load. They began to actively tell their friends, this bank is working, or that bank is working, or this telco is working. And in so doing, many of those organizations earned a huge chunk of customers, and some have retained them even till today. This is what Toby was talking about when you talk about the advent of a tool like OpenShift on cloud, because it allows your traditional applications to become cloud native, in that whilst they are running on your data center, your workloads assuming or hitting the maximum infrastructure capacity, maybe if you're running 40,000 transactions, when it gets about 65, 70,000 transactions, you have hit the peak of your infrastructure. Those workloads begin to automatically burst to the cloud, so that your applications are cloud native. They can run on your on-prem, but then they can burst to the cloud if your workload so requires, so that a customer will never try and do a transaction, and because of infrastructure limitations on your virtual machines or on your bare metal servers, those transactions will fail, because now the application simply bursts to new workloads on the cloud, and they can be elastic. Your customers demand 70,000, it would supply 80,000, it would supply 130,000. The load just supplies in an elastic format. And then as the workload begins to drop down, then maybe from about 130, 120, 100,000, 90,000, you begin to consume less of your cloud infrastructure. And when it hits back under your 70, all your workloads are running on your on-prem infrastructure. This is a very interesting use case, because the applications in themselves are built on OpenShift, so they are cloud native, and that allows you to not just manage your control plane, but also manage your compute plane, because if you don't require the capacity on the cloud, then it is not consumed. It is only required on demand. And so this is part of why we are very passionate about OpenShift and containerization in Converge. And I think in one of the demos that we'll be showing today, we will actually show this feature I just talked about, which is called auto scale, where just by increasing the load on an application, the containers are able to auto scale and maintain your service level to your customers. Because at the end of the day, when your service level to your customers are maintained, then your customers begin to talk about your product organically. You don't need to even put up a billboard. Your customers begin to be the ones that talk about, especially in today's world where customers are very promiscuous. They open one app, it's not working, they just flip it up and close it and open the next app. So your customers begin to become your own front end, your own marketing strategy, because your applications always have capacity and always have redundancy built in. Okay, I think Toby is still not back on, right? Not yet, okay. So one of the other things that I was going to ask him, just as the last question, because I think our time is almost up, I was going to ask him what some of the trends that he's seeing, in the region are. How are telcos using OpenShift? How are customers using OpenShift? What is some of the cutting edge trends that he's heard about out of the region, because he covers a large region? And as we wait for him to get back in, one of the things that we are seeing is that customers are edging the issue of, I don't know where that noise is coming from. It's from the speaker. Okay, I thought it was someone actually saying it into a microphone. Please, can you help us disconnect it so that we can? Hello? Good. Thank you for that. Okay. So one of the trends that we see in the region is that the issue of customer experience and resilient services and questions such as self-healing and questions such as automation that allow for organizations to become more resilient to whether it's spikes of traffic or is to outages on their side. The issue of automation to guarantee customer experience is becoming something that is very, very central to most organizations. And most organizations that we talk to are beginning to leverage some of the technologies that exist to actually create these use cases internally and secure their customer base and grow their traffic. So technology is not just sitting at the back end creating, cheaper infrastructure, but it's now really at the front end to ensure that, if one server goes down, we put another one up automatically. If a container dies, we multiply. If this container service degrades, we spin up another container automatically. We define the service level into the application such that the customer is not the one calling the call center to complain. The application is monitoring itself and correcting itself. In one of the use cases that we will see in a demo, you will see where a container is spinning in a pod on OpenShift, on an OpenShift cluster. And as we increase the load on that pod automatically will spin off about 4 or 5 new pods on its own. But the interesting thing about those pods is that they're going to be, the technology is such that we've defined that it should spin up on multiple nodes. A node is like a server. So we've defined the technology to not just spin up redundant pods to take the traffic, but to spin it up on multiple different servers. So that if one thing happens to one server, no problem, the other 4 are running on different infrastructure to create redundancy, resilience, and self-healing. So without taking much time, I'm so sorry I couldn't get Toby back in. Maybe we'll dial him back towards the end of the presentation. I think that we can now move on. Let's hook up the next one and let's get it going. Let's just make sure. Good. We have 2 minutes. The first presentation that you'll be seeing today will be a presentation on Ansible automation. And I'll hand over now to Ridwan, our compare, to introduce you to the engineer that will be presenting this technology. Ridwan, thank you.
Thank you for that insightful session. I mean, I think we all deserve, I think Mr. Akan and Toby deserves a round of applause for that amazing session, very informative. Unfortunately, they glitched towards the end with our sound, interrupted the communication, but you can see that we have very knowledgeable people on the team, and we're able to answer some of these questions, that was posed to the Red Hat team. Our engineer, Chiwendu, will be coming up next. She's an Ansible automation expert specialist, right, certified, and she would be walking us through the presentation on how you can transform your digital workspace using Ansible. It's good to see you, sir. And then we'll do a brief demonstration after that presentation. So please pay attention. You have notepads. You can write out your questions if you have any question during the course of the presentation. And at the end of the presentation and the demonstration, you will be able to have, we'll be able to take 1 or 2 questions. But at the end of the program, there would still be opportunities to ask as many questions as you want. We have Rendani of Red Hat on standby, just in case you have specific questions for Red Hat, that's been bothering you. This is a good place to ask those questions again. So without further ado, the next voice you'd be hearing will be Chiwendu, and she will be taking you through the power of Ansible in 2024. This is Evolve 2024.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Okori Chiwendu, and today I'll be taking you through the Ansible automation platform. So I'm from Converge, and I think Converge has not been introduced, so I will do the honor of introducing Converge. So Converge is a solution company that brings you cutting-edge solutions that helps you to thrive in this digital landscape. So Converge has been in business for 15 years and counting, and they have been doing business with clients in the likes of MTN, we have Dangote, we have Access, Zenith, and others. So Converge is also ISO 9001 certified, which means that the solutions and services that we deploy to you are top-notch and quality, and the quality can be ascertained. Thank you very much. So today, IT digital transformation has become the talk of today because the digital landscape keeps changing and people are looking for a way to automate the business processes. So IT modernization is just about looking for a smarter way to do business. And there are several ways to achieve this IT modernization, and one of it is through automation. So today, the product that we bring for you today is the Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform. Okay, so what is Ansible Automation Platform? Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform is a robust solution that helps you to manage your infrastructure. So your Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform has the capability to manage your RHEL systems, your Microsoft systems, your hypervisors, your data centers, and all the infrastructure in your IT landscape. So what Ansible Automation Platform actually does is that it helps you to reduce the error that you encounter by repeating some tasks that exist in your environment. It helps you to replace repetitive tasks with reusable codes that you can spin out at any time that you want to repeat a particular task, thereby freeing up your IT system administrators so that they can concentrate more on high impact tasks other than doing the repetitive tasks. So today, I'm going to be taking you through how Ansible Automation Platform can help you improve efficiency, increase productivity, and control leaks in your IT environment. So going further, we're going to be looking at the problem that exists in the IT digital landscape that bring about the Ansible Automation Platform. So there are, the problem that exists in IT digital landscape include many organizations share the same challenges. As your IT infrastructure is growing, you have different teams. You have the security, the network team, you have the infrastructure team. So these teams have domain-specific tools. For instance, in networking, you have your Cisco router, you can have your Juniper router too. That's domain-specific tools. And when you want to automate these tools, you go for different automation tools that are independent of these domains. So, but Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform brings you a single solution that can help you to manage your whole IT infrastructure, independent of the team and independent of the domain that you're operating in. So Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform brings in all your teams together, brings in all your infrastructure together, integrates with the different tools that exist in different teams, and the different tools that exist in different domains that you operate in, and bring everything together for you so that you can have a single source of control in your infrastructure. Thank you. So the solution, yes, we already talked about this slide where it's unify your system and give you governance over your infrastructure. Then the next slide should be an Ansible automation platform sitting at the center of your infrastructure and controlling all the activities that happens in your infrastructure. So it meets you where you are in your automation journey, be it on the cloud or your hybrid cloud or your public cloud, anywhere you are in your infrastructure. It makes you there and help you to automate those processes. So a good automation tool should put into consideration your financial, your security, the operation, and the ecosystem of your infrastructure. So this is what Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform does. It puts into consideration the financial status of your organization, the technical, it looks at eco and think of how to all do your infrastructure bring and help integrate, help achieve the environment. So the question now is why? Why Ansible Automation Platform? So Ansible Automation Platform, in the sense that it makes use of a single devices. So Ansible Automation Platform makes use of YAML. You can use this to programming language code, but this one is a YAML. Like Python, somebody that is expatriate field. This is so YAML just need a basic knowledge, and you can easily write. It also impose a picture and Edge makes us use of already existing ports that exist in your, let's say Windows. Windows have WinRM and for instance, to manage like 100 machines, and some applications you need to go system, install all the things that needs the communication, but it's not with application. No, using the already existing port which not like WinRM. So this is a simple example of a simple playbook where you just you can be able to understand what is happening here. Like this playbook now said, install and start Apache. You know, a system admin already understand what this means, so you don't need an expert in the field in order to start. So here we have the Ansible Lightspeed. So in 2023, Red Hat they partnered with IBM Watson Code Assistance, where they use an artificial intelligence. They trained this model using the certified contents that Red Hat made available in the automation platform. This model is mentioning when you integrate your Ansible automation platform with Ansible Lightspeed. Ansible Lightspeed actually comes with a SaaS subscription that you are utilizing your Ansible automation platform. And be able to, like as you can see, there is a little video playing on the screen where when you uncomment, like you put a name of the playbook, and when they uncomment it, so this is more simple in your church. So I know that most of people here might have been using the community version of Ansible, and you are now asking, why should I buy the Ansible automation platform? So I put this slide in order to show you some of the benefits that you will again, if you switch from your normal Ansible that you run on your community version to the enterprise version of Ansible automation platform. So things that are here include the web UI. So when you install Ansible automation platform, it comes with the web UI. So the web UI is what helps you to control your automation, which you will still see during the demo section. So it comes with that. It also gives you reporting and analytics feature, where you do your analytics and see what is happening on the platform. It's also secure, and it comes with certified content, already written playbooks that you can easily adopt. So today we'll be going into some of the Ansible automation platform use cases. So these are not the only use cases, but we'll just be looking at these 6 use cases there, and there are other use cases that involve. So we are going into the Linux use cases. So the community version of Ansible got okay.
Sorry. Thank you for getting me a second microphone. I know that those online cannot hear me. You just repeat that microphone that those are online. Okay. I want to just make a comment on that. You could just go back a few steps. So you showed me the whole page. I thought it was important to just say here that imagine that you have a typical network infrastructure that has multiple vendors. You've got Cisco, you've got Juniper, you've got Aristo, whatever you've got there. The playbooks for all of the different types of network devices will look exactly the same. So that for just 1 or 2 headers that show that this playbook, this scenario, or this one, this scenario, the rest of the details are exactly the same. So Ansible is fantastic for cross-OEM type deployments as well, because you are able to centralize and document whether it's your VLANs or it's your configurations for QoS or whatever in a human readable format that is cross-OEM platform. I just wanted to add that.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, you said I should repeat what you just said, or just... Okay, so from the slide, what Akan is trying to say is that the PC is not just for a specific domain. When we come to networking now, that you have your Cisco router, you have your Juniper router too. So it means that this single playbook that works on your Cisco router can also go into your Juniper router. That means you don't need to change the play. The only thing you need to change may be the host that you are trying to reach. So for the use cases of Linux automation, so we have the community Ansible actually got notice because of the zeal to automate everything Linux. So the community Ansible actually, that's how they get their popularity. So everything that a system administrator does on a Linux system can be automated. So think of what you can do on your Linux system. Think of your installation of your packages. Think of application deployment. Think of upgrading the system. Think of running patches. Think of everything that you can do on your Linux system as a Linux system administrator. These things can be automated and help to make you reduce the repetitive tasks, the repetitive tasks that can make you to run into some kind of errors. That's when you are doing something and at a time you get bugged on the same activity, you can even leave one command and use another one that is not supposed to. So, but with automation, you can deploy to as many systems as possible at the same time. You don't need to now log into the system, finish up with this one, come out, which we are still going to see at the course of the demo. So we'll talk about the Ansible for Windows system, where Ansible can help you start and stop your services, where it can also help you to install your Windows applications, your Windows packages. It can also, if I think of what you can do on a Windows PowerShell or a Windows command prompt. So Ansible can actually help you automate these processes. Then we're looking at the Ansible automation for, next slide, please. Okay. For network team. So here, Ansible actually have certified content that helps the network team to perform their activities. So as network issues grow, like when the digital landscape of networking, it happens that in the digital landscape of networking, it happens that network have different tools that they integrate together. That is not integrated. These tools are just separate on their own. But what Ansible Automation Platform does for you is it will help the network team bring these tools together, and with their certified content, you can be able to do your configuration, copy one configuration from, let's say, a router, and then send it to another router. So in a case where a network administrator, maybe because of the Jackpot syndrome, left the company, and maybe the new one came in and the documentation that was given to him or her is not so clear. So Ansible have this parameter, they gather facts, that when you run it under your Cisco router or your Cisco switch, it can go into the network device and pull all the configurations that exist on the network device, and also so that this new system administrator can see the configurations that are already existing on those devices. So, moreover, you can also use Ansible Automation Platform for network team. You can use it for your network compliance and auditing too. So we also have a use case for the security team. We have your investigation enrichment, where you integrate Ansible with your SIEM tool, that's your security and information events management tool, such that when you, maybe an event occurred, and then you need to get more information. Ansible is not a security tool, I must say, but what it does is that it aids your security process. So security, as cyber threat is increasing, so the security teams are looking for solutions, buying more products and putting into their network, trying to find a way to solve to get information about new signatures that are coming out every day. And what Ansible does for you is that it integrates these solutions together and give you a single source of truth. So when you integrate Ansible with your SIEM tool, so Ansible will be able to, maybe you saw an event as a security person and you are looking at it, and maybe you need more information about what happened at that particular time. Then Ansible with Ansible, you can go in and increase the verbosity of your log, of the log that you have already extracted, increase the verbosity. Maybe Ansible have different levels of verbosity. Maybe your debug verbosity, your connection verbosity, to just see how the connection works. Also, Ansible can integrate with your PAM, that's your Privileged Access Management System, such that if a user that have maybe a normal user and there is a change, and it happens that that normal user is now performing a task that is supposed to be for a super user, like a privileged user, like administrator per se. So Ansible with event driven, it can actually block that user from performing any tasks at that time. That means, so it might be a threat actor that got access to that particular username and password, and then with their manipulations, they try to become the super user, of course, in order to exploit the system. So Ansible can block off that user at that moment. So this is, we also have event-driven Ansible. Okay.
Then Ansible can enable certain features so that users immediately can start connecting. So from building the operating system, configuring the services, turning on the application, installing them, and then configuring the environment variables at the click of a button, Ansible can do all of that. Now, but beyond that, now when the applications are running, Ansible is also able to log into all of the web servers and check for certain security vulnerabilities. So that's log.js or log4j.s vulnerabilities, or certain ports that are open. Ansible is able to go in there and check all of that and then do a report, so that on a persistent basis you have reporting. But even in the networking use case that she mentioned as well, she talked about data facts. Just think about a scenario where, imagine that you want all of the routers in your DMZ to have certain services turned on, or certain ports turned on, and certain ports turned off. Maybe imagine that you don't want them to have any VLAN configurations. and you have that as a company standard. That is your SOP. You can write a simple playbook that goes and checks all your routers and switches overnight to check all of these key features that you want to turn on. You can have that certain routers in the environment you want only maybe VLANs 1, 3, and 10 to be active, the rest should be off. You can pull with the Gather files all of this information and present them on a website, on a web page. And you can actually set that if any other VLAN instead of these three or QoS terminals or QoS configurations are on, and so we should flag them as an anomaly. So that the physical labor of going to 59 routers and switches, and then maybe 180 branch routers, to pull all this information in, and then, how possible is that? Right? There's going to be a hole somewhere. Some of the organizations here have 300 branches across Nigeria, and you want to ensure that there is no loophole in any of those. So Ansible really allows you to do a quick deploy or a quick compliance check, and if there is a compliance breach, a quick remediation or turning on a port or turning off a port or installing a feature to ensure that there is no damage.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Event-driven. Okay. So I was trying to talk about the event-driven, and thank you very much, sir, for that contribution. I even thought about the configuration drift too that Ansible handles for the network team when a particular configuration is maybe is being changed. So Ansible have the ability to go back and set your configuration right. Thank you, sir. So we have event-driven Ansible, where Ansible makes decision. When you integrate Ansible with your event source, it can be a monitoring tool such as App Dynamics or any other monitoring tool that you can think about. So if you integrate Ansible to this tool, Ansible have the capability to get alerts from these tools, then check its rulebook, because EDA, that's the event-driven Ansible, is configured such that it makes use of rulebooks. So in these rulebooks is where you say if this happens, that's a decision tree kind of thing, where if this happens, then what happens next. So Ansible will take in this event source. When the event comes in, it has the ability to check the rule book and say, okay, what is it that this event is liking to, and it can maybe turn on a playbook, run the playbook for you, why you did not even contribute to anything, like an automatic process that goes on from your from your ITSM tool or your monitoring tool or any tool that you integrate with. So you just be on your own, and the event complete, and they might send you a message, an email, if you configured it, to tell you that this is what happened on the system. And it also has the capability of going back to your ITSM system to close the ticket. I know I'm fast. I'm trying to slow down. Okay, so that's what event-driven Ansible does for you. So we have Ansible for the hybrid cloud, where Ansible helps you to orchestrate the whole process of deployment and retirement of VMs in your hybrid cloud environment. Be it your public cloud, such as the Azure, you have the AWS, that's Azure. Okay, such as Azure, you have AWS and your Google Cloud instance. You have your cloud-native applications like OpenShift and Kubernetes, and then you have your private cloud, your Nutanix environments, and your VMware hypervisors. So what Ansible actually does here, it helps you to manage your business continuity in this environment. It also helps you in the process of spinning up your VMs, like provisioning and configuration of these systems in your cloud environments. So the reality of a hybrid infrastructure is such that you have different teams that exist in this, different teams, the infrastructure, the network, you have the security, you have the cloud native applications, which as I've talked about already, and you have your at the edge, because now edge computing is also coming into play, and you have your ITSM system where you log your services. So the hybrid, the nature of the hybrid infrastructure is so vast and wide, with some other teams that are not even captured on this particular slide. But what Ansible does for you is this: it stays at the middle of your infrastructure and try to integrate with all these teams in order to help you achieve efficiency and increase the productivity in your workplace. Thank you. So I will be going into the demo demonstration. So I must mention the demo is just like, my infrastructure now is in this my laptop, so it's very small. So the things you will be seeing is like a type of creating an imagination on what Ansible can do more. So it's just going to be some simple use cases. But if you still have a pain point where you want to test out these use cases, we can come to your organization and run a POC for you and address the pain point just to show that Ansible can actually do that particular use case. So now I have to go back. Thank you.
While you're setting up your demo for us, just for some of you that already have Ansible in the environment, and some of you that don't yet, one of the best ways of actually deploying the tool is to put the tool in the hands of the team members.
Thank you, sir. Put the tool in the hands of the team members that actually run these operationally. So to put Ansible in the hands of the network team, and to put Ansible in the hands of the security team. Because Ansible uses YAML, which is human readable, so the teams don't have to learn any automation language to begin to use Ansible. So one of the ways we've seen organizations really adopt and use Ansible well is when the networking guys begin to use Ansible to create things. And we see a particular trend where some organizations want to take all of the infrastructure. You know what, let's write playbooks for all our network configuration. And that is okay. But what we find to be a better way to do it is to look for the time-consuming, repetitive, mundane tasks, those ones that are just really, really annoying, but are very voluminous in activity. It could be creating VLANs. It could be creating your access control list on your network side. On your application side, it could be turning on and off services as they go back and forth, because you talked about EDA. On your application side, it could be installing the operating system. Are we ready? We're good? Okay. So taking those particular mundane and repeatable tasks and focusing just playbooks on them to make sure that the redundancy is out of the room and then efficiency is brought back into the team. The team is also freed up to do different things with their time. I'll leave Chinwe now to complete her demo.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that contribution. So when you finish, Ansible automation platform setup, you download the setup and you finish your configuration and setting up the inventory. Then you browse through the IP address or the host name of the server that you deployed your Ansible. So this is the page, the first page that will come out where you log in with your username and your password. So I'm going to log in now. So as I'm logging in, okay, this is my. So I have I'm going to run 2 use cases on my Linux system, and I'm going to run 2 use cases on my Windows system. But firstly, I want to show you my Windows server first, so that I can tell you the things that you expect after I've been able to run my playbook. The Windows playbook kind of take a bit time, so I'm going to start with that, but we are not going to, I will just click on the template and it will start running while we go and settle the Linux use cases. So for my Windows server, I will be running a use case which will create groups and window and users on a Windows machine. So I'm trying to log into my Windows. So that's the first use case, creation of group and users. And then we'll have another use case, which is installation of enabling of roles and features. We know when a Windows server is being spin up, you go into the server and you start enabling the features that you require for the server to work. So now, assuming you have like up to 5 Windows servers that you spin up, and you need to go into each of them and start clicking maybe web, like now I'm going to do IIS web service deployment on the server. But now with a click of a button on Ansible automation platform, you can actually deploy the IIS or enable the service on your environment, on all the servers, saving you time. Sorry, trying to share my screen also. Is disabled. Okay. Okay, so trying to log into my window. Server.
Complex use cases.
Yeah, sure. There are more use cases. As I said before I started, I was like, okay, that's if you require, maybe you have a pain point, something you want Ansible to actually do for you, and then you can come in, do a POC just to prove the concept for you. So now, after the installation of the IIS server, you are going to see it here on this drop down as a service, as a feature running on your server. Okay.
I'm sorry, we're just trying to ensure that people online can see what is happening here. So, thank you for.
Can you see it now?
Awesome.
Okay. So that's one of the use cases, the web deploy IIS. Then we'll have user creation. So I'm going to open my settings. So I'm just ensuring that you see that this thing doesn't exist on the server yet, so that when we go and run the playbook, we can come back to this server and ensure that they are there. So I'll go to accounts, other users. Okay, so when I click add user. Okay, so these are the groups. When I click here, you will see there's, so my playbook is such that it's going to create a group called the local group. So you will see the local group as a new group at the end of the playbook running. And then for users, you are going to see user 1, user 2, because I'm creating 2 users at the same time in this system. So that is it. I'm going back to my Ansible automation platform. So this is the dashboard. Once you launch your username and password and you launch, you come to the dashboard that shows you the analysis of what is happening. So now we're going to go to the template. So this template is already pre-configured. Before you get your template to work, you need to configure your version control system that hosts your playbook, which is Git or GitLab or whichever version control system that you are using. And then you need to create credential. You have 2 credentials. 1 credential for your machine, that's the user that will be logging into the machine to do the changes. And then 1 other credential for the source control that pulls the playbook into Ansible automation platform. So this has already been pre-configured. So I'm just going to go to my playbook, and the first thing I want to do is to ping my Linux system to check if they are communicating. So my Linux and my Windows system, I'm going to, with Ansible Playbook, you don't need to start using your user add, your normal user add to SSH to all those servers and start adding them. You can just do a click, push button click, and then this user will be created in all the system that you mentioned. So this playbook is successful. When you look at it, you will see that Ansible is even warning that a particular play that I'm using has some depreciation warning saying that this Python 3.13 that the model is depreciated, meaning that very soon they will stop supporting it. So that's the compliance aspect of Ansible. It will be able to, when a playbook is maybe a parameter you use in the playbook is going off, it can warn you that this thing is going on, so that you can do your research, bring in the new system, how it will be configured, and then put it on your playbook. So when you watch here, you will see that it's writing changed. Change means that something has happened on the system, and OK means that the system has the thing already. So is the a feature in Ansible, that's a potent feature of Ansible, that when it logs into your system, and that particular task that you want it to achieve has been there already, it will just verify it and tell you, okay, that it's already here. But if it is not there, it will tell you change. Change means that the thing, there is something that happened on your system. So now, this particular playbook that I created, okay, it creates a user. This is the playbook that runs on this system, and it creates 3 users. You have James, you have Maggie. The same way you add users, you can actually remove the users from here too. So it's a 2-way thing. You can actually remove the user. So I'm going to open my Linux machine and try to log in and try to switch to that user to see if the James user actually exists. So I'm going to log in as a root first, as root user, and then cut my, normally when you create users and you cut your etc search PSSWD file, you should be able to see the users that are being created. So I'm going to cut my etc WD file. Okay, so when you watch down here, you see that these different users, James, Maggie, and Amma, that's the 3 users that I created, is already on the system and is existing. So now I'm going to log out at the root user and try to log in as one of the users, let's say James. It must not be James now. So now the user is created and is on the system and is logged in. So the second use case on this Linux, let me check if I have run the job, is for, no, I have not. Okay, let me launch the template for copy files. So you can actually back up your files using a playbook that will, or copy from one folder location to another, or copy from one Linux system to another system. 2 is also applicable in Windows. But this playbook actually does is it copies from one folder to another folder. So I'm going to learn the Linux backup playbook template. So I'm going to launch it on one of my servers. No, it's still running. So the playbook for the backup file is just this number of plays can just back your files up. So what I'm telling Ansible to do here is to log into this my system, say remove source true, that the host that I described, log into it, then go to this source, my root/data, pull this folder for me, and bring it to this particular place. So we'll soon verify if Ansible was able to do that. So it's chain. So the playbook is done and it's showing change, meaning that something has happened on the system. So we'll go back to that Linux system. So I'm going to exit as James because it's root user that we use for the operation. I'm going to log in as the root user. Then I'm seeing the source folder already. So when I would like to see into the data directory just to see what is inside. Okay, there is a file there. Then we'll cd out and then cd into your source to verify if that particular. So as you can see, that file too exists on the source directory. So that is that for the Linux use cases. There are other complex use cases where you can normally from the playbook that I show, you can install your HTTPD service and start your web page. You can actually install or run upgrade. Maybe you want to run normal DNF, asterisk, everything, upgrade everything in my system, and you want to run it on your 20 servers. So you can just use one single playbook, and then with the help of this software now that brought about you adding all your hosts on the same list, selecting all the hosts or some of the hosts that you want to run the use case on, and then implement it. So let's check our Windows use cases if they are done. Okay, it's showing Windows user creation successful and then row successful. So we'll go back to our Windows server to verify that this has been done. Okay, so click on add user again and try to check the groups. So you say the local group has been created on this server, and also you have user 1, user 2, which are the 2 users that I added from my playbook. And then we'll go back to server management to see if that feature has been enabled. Is there, the IIS system. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic stuff. It's always a pleasure to see demonstrations go smoothly. And as you can see, if you check that beautiful clock on your wrist, we are right on schedule. I hope we're making use of the notepads and the pen. You can document your questions. We don't want to encroach into the time for the tea break. You could also use that time to meditate on some of these things that we have seen. And then when we come back from tea break, we'll go to the OpenShift session, and all your questions will be answered at the end of the session. Without further ado, we are happy to go for a tea break. You could just take the door out. I'm sure some of our beautiful Converge hosts can lead you there. You can have your tea, or you can bring it back inside the hall as we prepare for the next session. Tea break is for 15 minutes, but we encourage that you're settled by 11:13 so that we can start at 11:15 sharp for the next session. So thank you again, and see you at the OpenShift session. Cheers. So we want to welcome you to the second session of the day. We'll be looking at how OpenShift can help with modernizing your cloud-native applications. Learn more about the unique approach of containerization in OpenShift, and the benefits of OpenShift over Kubernetes. And how it's made Kubernetes enterprise ready for your organization. We have Anthony. He's a seasoned and experienced Red Hat specialist, especially in the OpenShift, and other open hybrid strategies. Also, I want to recognize, that in this room we have many of our industry leaders in banking. First Bank represented here, UBA, GT Bank, payment infrastructures with InterSwitch, telcos with MTN. We have Dangote for, engineering, hardcore engineering, EPC, and all of that. And so you can see how the solutions cuts across different sectors and different industries. If Anthony is ready and you are ready, try and fasten your seatbelt. I hope you still have some space there, but fasten your seatbelt. You'll be needing that for this session. The next voice you'll be hearing will be Anthony introducing himself and then walking us through his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm used to asking, can you guys hear me? Because now we're in the Zoom era, so everybody's just, oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Connection is down. Connection is down. So it's wonderful to actually have everyone here physically and to have a microphone handy. Because I was thinking I'll start shouting today, but it's cool. So why are we here? Oh, sorry. First of all, my name is Anthony, as Rowan has previously stated. I am part of the DSA team, technical specialist here at Converge. DSA team is the data security and automation team. So as Chiwendu previously stated, Converge is a solutions provider. We are here to fix problems. And one of the wonderful solutions that we'll be talking about today is OpenShift. Okay, so let's move. All right, so the reality in an IT enterprise environment goes as this. Firstly, you need an infrastructure, whether it is on-prem, whether it is a bare metal server that you're using, whether it is a virtualized environment, edge computing, public or private cloud, you need an infrastructure. In this day and age, I don't know any company, I don't know any business, I do not know why this is tripping off. I do not know any business that doesn't have an application. So much so, I studied IT when I was in university, and I always have this funny situation where there was a time in my life where everybody is asking me to come and develop websites for them. Either it is a web application or it is a mobile application. Everybody is saying, come and develop, come and develop, come and develop. Because they know that that is where the trend is moving. So there's no company that I know of that doesn't have an application. Either it is in-house or outside. Then finally, people and processes. You have people in your department, people that are actually creating the applications. Processes in terms of your DevOps process, whether you are using waterfall, the waterfall method, or if you are using the agile method. Waterfall is just from development to testing to deployment and just starting that cycle all over again. Or the agile, which is more keen on the DevOps people. My developers, they will fully understand what I'm talking about in terms of the agile process. And this whole avenue is to make sure that these 3 S's are situated. 3 S's in the sense of speed. The quickness at which your application can innovate. Innovation speed. That's one. The second S is stability. Now, you can have speed, but if your infrastructure isn't stable, everybody is just looking at the new technology and it is unavailable and it is not working. Then the third S is scale. The ability for you to grow as your users are increasing. Mr. Akan mentioned in the beginning of this whole event that just recently the shortage of cash increased the need for online transactions. So the online transactions in the sense that at a point in time, when I'm inside hold up, I'm always thinking, if I don't have cash, that is the end. But at this point in time, at this stage where we are at, I can easily just buy gala on the road and pay using transfer. It sounds funny, but it is true. People have washed their cars and paid using transfer. So the ability for you to scale your application, for you to grow as the demand increases is also needed. And we are trying to find a way in which we can stay in the center of that Venn diagram, We don't want a situation where we are quick to innovate, but as people are flowing in, there's an issue. We do not want a situation where we can easily scale up and scale down. However, stability becomes a problem. We don't want a situation where we are stable, we are sure, but the time we can introduce innovation. Introduction to innovation is just talking about integrating new technology into your applications. Now, I'm sure it's WhatsApp that has done it lately, but I'm sure most applications are finding a way to integrate AI, to integrate ChatGPT. For some reason, if you just go to your WhatsApp, any group, and say at Meta Group, at Meta AI, what do you feel about X, Y, and Z? He comes up and he gives you a statement. So that is the speed of innovation. So now we're trying to stay in that center of that Venn diagram and also having a sense of security and compliance. So in essence, we need a technology, we need a tool, we need an ability to combine all of this, whether you are combine all of this in the sense that you are creating flexibility, consistency, and efficiency, or you're improving flexibility, efficiency, and consistency. In terms of speed, the speed at which our developers can actually bring to life these new innovative processes, the speed at which they can get it to the market. The DevOps guys will understand what I'm talking about when I say fail fast. Fail fast in the sense that whatever it is that you are trying, the application that it is that you're trying to run, you are able to run it in a sense that after this application is being run, you can test it at scale to see whether it is fit to go live. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about development speed. In terms of skills, our operations guys need the ability to say, okay, these individual servers, how can we add them to it? Previously, the answer to all of this is when we're talking about the monolithic infrastructure, in the sense that if I have an application that interacts with a database which interacts with a storage server, I have to literally spin up, or I have to literally build individual servers, individual silos. So I am buying more racks in terms of space. I'm buying more infrastructure in terms of buying individual servers and provisioning them. Then moving towards that, or moving away from that monolithic side, we enter the realm of virtualization. That saves costs in the sense that I don't have to buy individual physical servers. I can just make virtual machines through the help of a hypervisor. Then spinning up those individual virtual machines to settle or to cater for those individual applications. That's fine and that is dandy. However, we are in the realm of efficiency. We want to create an efficient and effective method. In comes containerization. So containerization is just running instances of processes. That's when we're talking about microservices. Those individual services, you are running them as individual processes which can connect, or which connects either your storage or your networking. We'll talk about that moving forward. So containerization is the way forward. Containerization is the yardstick. Containerization is where everyone is moving towards. Now, what are containers, or what is containerization? I just wanted to liken it to the instance of a virtual machine. So with a virtual machine, we know that we have our hardware. Then from there, you install a hypervisor. Then however, for containerization, both your containers and your applications are isolated, in the sense that you don't necessarily have to spin up a virtual machine with the storage, with the networking and everything. You can run it as a containerized application. So that containerized application is a lightweight process that doesn't take much of your resources. So to reiterate my point, containers are not virtual machines. Containers are isolated processes. They have kernel namespaces. So namespaces are kind of like workspaces, in the sense that, let's use this room as a namespace. Anything that happens in this room stays in this room, like what happens in Vegas. So anything that happens here doesn't affect what is happening there. So this can be a namespace, and that can also be a namespace. So there are separate abilities. For containerization, there is no need for any hypervisor. Just like in your virtual machine side, you have to install a hypervisor on your infrastructure to move on. Containers only carry the binary files, the library files, and all the tools your application needs to run. So it is a lightweight process. It doesn't use as much resources as virtualization should or could use, and which in turn saves costs. Then finally, containers are ephemeral. Ephemeral in the sense that they do their job and they forget. They do their job, when they are done, they die off. So, up another container, it is like having a new application, a new service. Then one question might pop up: if this is ephemeral, if they delete or if they go back to status quo when they are done, how do I keep my data? Is my data safe? Will my data vanish with it? That is when we're talking about persistent volumes, which are also plugins that OpenShift your environment. Okay. OpenShift adds to your environment. So now that is the process that we are going towards. We're going towards containerization. So how do we manage this containerization? We use OpenShift. OpenShift is a container orchestration tool. So container orchestration in the sense that he is the guy that is arranging your containers, is the guy that is spinning it up, he's the guy that is saying, okay, run this application this way, okay, spin it up, okay, spin it back, okay, reduce it back down. OpenShift is the guy that is running your containers for you and giving you the ability to move forward. And OpenShift is an enterprise-grade solution. Now, when we first hear of containerization, the key talk in town is Kubernetes. Kubernetes this, Kubernetes that. So Kubernetes is great and fine, but what OpenShift is, it is built on Kubernetes, and it gives you the ability and all the bells and whistles for you to have high-end processes, high-end services, so that you are not necessarily buying those individual plugins. When we go to the next slide, we'll explain more of that. You're not necessarily going through those individual plugins. You are using one container, and you are not let's say buying from different vendors, just getting different parts. So, speaking about different parts, this is a very, very wonderful explanation of what OpenShift is. So see your base Kubernetes as you buying the engine of a car. So you can buy your engine, it is fantastic, but you just have the engine. All you can do is start it, and you can hear the sound. You're not going anywhere. If you want to move, you will not go to one person and you say, excuse me, sir, I need to buy tires from you. You go to another person and say, excuse me, I need to buy a chassis. You go to another person, I need to buy windows. You go to another person, I need to buy doors. I don't use boots, so I don't need boots. Things like that. So doing those individual bits and pieces is what you would have when you are running normal Kubernetes. So normal Kubernetes is saying, we give you the base engine, but you do with it whatever you please. I normally tell people that do with it whatever you please mentality is fantastic if you are testing things out. But if you want to go enterprise ready, if you are using an application that users want to use, I'd rather go for an enterprise grade. And the enterprise grade in this sense, the self-managed enterprise grade in this sense, is just going to a car dealer and saying, give me this car, I want to have this car. They'll say, oh, the car has TV at the back. You know personally that you're not going to use the TV at the back. But when you now finally have kids, and those ones are being restless, that tiny TV can be your peace of mind when you're going to wherever it is that you're going to. So my uncle normally says this thing, and it's a very wonderful statement. It's better to have and not need than need and not have. So I'd rather have that in sense. So that's the self-managed OpenShift. Then when you're talking about ROSA or Arrow, that's managed services. So in this last fully serviced car, it is your cloud service provider that is integrating with OpenShift and that is also managing your cloud services, is also managing your OpenShift services and your infrastructure service. So see the first part, the self-managed, as me. I am introducing or I am walking around with my personal environment, and see this as you are leaving it to AWS to move on with the environment. So some of the things are stated here, but the main thing is, what do we really get with this enterprise Kubernetes or this enterprise containerization? So as you can see this wonderful diagram, it is saying that regardless of whatever infrastructure, whatever your infrastructure is, it is running a Linux container host. It's running a Linux container host and the Kubernetes orchestration platform. Now, those bells and whistles that I was talking about, that's what is circled there. So you have installation, networking, networking, monitoring, creation of containers or authorization of containers, operators rather, and virtual machines. So yes, you can create virtual machines or you can create virtual machines using containers, or you can create a containerized virtual machine. So some of the importance of OpenShift. First of all, quicker time to market. That failing fast that we're talking about, you'll be able to do that at ease, and this is what we would be explaining during the demo. It's easier to penetrate the market, or market penetration, in the sense that whenever you have done that individual innovative step, when you have taken that big leap in your innovation, you can easily get it out to the market. So you wouldn't hear that, oh, people are using ChatGPT in their application. Then 5 months later, when everybody has already implemented all they want to implement, you will now come and say, yes, we have ChatGPT integration. You are falling behind the fast trend of the market. So some other benefits we're talking about for developers, you have a clear choice of your architecture. Which language do I want to use to write my code? What architecture do I want to build? The ease of building your application. For the operations guys, automated processes, automated deployments, which is going to help your CI/CD pipelines. For the infrastructure guys, you are spending, or containerization uses less resources than virtual machine. So if you are using less resources, that equates to you using less money when it comes down to it. Then for security, you have the vulnerabilities are contained within containers. So if one container should have a vulnerability, it's not going to spread across everybody and say, that's the end. It's going to stay within that particular container. So this is just showing the categories or the levels of OpenShift. So the lowest level, like I said, regardless of what infrastructure you are going on, it is running a OpenShift container, it is running a Linux container operating system. It's running upon Kubernetes. It gives you all those bells and whistles. That is called the OpenShift Kubernetes engine. That's the base, the entry-level OpenShift. The mid-level OpenShift is called OpenShift Container Platform. It gives you more services that will help you manage your workloads, build cloud-native application. You can have data-driven insights and developer productivity. Then the highest end, the OpenShift Pro Max, is called OpenShift Platform Plus. And it gives you these individual products: advanced cluster management for Kubernetes, advanced security for Kubernetes, Red Hat Quay, and Red Hat Data Foundations. So all of these are given to you. So if someone meets you and says OpenShift is expensive, or when I've been talking to customers, and the first thing that they say is OpenShift is expensive, most times they are thinking of that guy up there. They're thinking of Pro Max. The services that they might be using might just be on this level, or even on this level. But you might be thinking, oh, this is what we need, this is what we need. And guaranteed, all these services, they will build a huge return on investment. So in terms of the demo, what we are going to be talking about, or I'm going to be saying some key terms. Some of the key terms are pods, routes, and operators. I'll be using more, but believe me, I will explain that as we're moving on. So what are pods? Containers are wrapped within pods. See pods as your individual applications that are being run. Present. Okay. Boop, boop.
And the immutability means that they cannot be changed. Once you set that application to function at a certain level, you even define its thresholds for resourcing and service quality into the container, such that if you define, for example, that the container should not function above 75% processing power utilization, when your container gets to 70-75%, automatically the orchestrator, in this case OpenShift, will stop sending traffic to that container and spin up a new one, and so on and so forth. And you could even spin up a new one on a different node. You could even spin up a new one if your local infrastructure is exhausted on a cloud infrastructure. And it just gives the customer this steady, humming, continuous service that has a good service quality. That is the main differentiator that sometimes makes an application look better than another. So I think as we get through these and we go through these slides, I want us to just cast our minds to the fact that, like Anthony said, this is really the future. For banks that have been in existence, companies that have been in existence, and there are new kids on the block that they are just using some of these available technologies that Red Hat and Converge can bring to.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, cool. Yeah. So as Mr. Akan rightly said, as that's one of the wonderful use cases of that. So we'll get to that when we're talking to the demo. So pods. See pods as your individual applications or individual services. So see pods as your microservices that you can use to run. Routes is just talking about the service route. So you are giving the user, I've been mentioning pods, and I've been likening it to virtual machines. Every virtual machine has its own IP address. Every pod also has its own IP address, but you are giving the user one link. So it is not that when one pod goes down, you have to tell the user, hey, please, it is not www.mygroup.com. It is www.mygroup_.com. Something like that doesn't have to happen. So the next one is operators. So operators are basically your managers in the sense that whenever the developer makes a change, the operations guys, they are scattering themselves saying, okay, how do we develop, or how do we give this guy this setting? How do we give this guy this application? So operators, they play the role of that. So they are able to provide updates, patches, rebalance, and scale, which we'll be using in this demonstration. So I'd like to stop here and just run through the demo. Okay. So here, this is our demo background in OpenShift. And as you can clearly see, just like normal IT processes, dark mode is very, very wonderful. The first thing I look for in an application is if it has dark mode. Because anytime I see white, my eyes used to pain me. So dark mode is very wonderful that it has a dark mode. So I'm going to be showing two use cases. The first one is auto-scaling, and the second one is self-healing. So auto-scaling, right now, I have an application, or let me just give a brief overview of what is happening. So I have two applications right here. One is called Simple App, the other one is called a demo. This first app, the sample app, has two containers, or has two applications, two microservices. One is MySQL, so that's our database, and the second is the application itself. And down here, we have an application, the one that is in the gray box. That application is a serverless application. And the other one beside it is a HTTP, a simple HTTP application, just to show the self-healing. So what we'll be doing firstly is we'll be logging, okay, not logging. This is our auto-scaled application. As you can see, it has been auto-scaled to 1, meaning that there is one pod currently serving this guy. This is the link you are giving to your customer. All right. So this link down here that says route, this is the link that you are giving to your customer. Okay, no, let's go. Sure. No, I'm okay. Okay, thank you. This is the link that you are giving to your customer. This is the mygroup.com that you are giving to your customer. At the back end, so whenever they click the link, they are brought to this fantastic page. So I like animals. I like dogs. So this is where our application is. So this application is just to give a registry of all users' applications and of all users' pets and where they stay for the veterinarian guys. So I'll go back to our topology. This is fantastic. It is showing that it is scaled at 1. So what I want to do right now in this instance is I want to stress this pod, or I want to stress this application. I want to create a scenario where multiple users are not attacking. They are not attacking the user's name. Multiple users are using our application. So at this point in time, there is a spike in the service. So real quick, I will just log in to my application. Into the back end. Copy my super secret password that everybody has seen now. And I would log into my page. So this is going to stress my application. It's going to stress my application. It's going to send 10,000 users or 10,000 pings to that particular application, and we want to see how much it would increase. So I'll just move this to the side a little bit so that we can have a good, clear view of what is happening, and we'll run this application. So what are we expecting to see? We're expecting to see this auto scale to increase to maybe 3 or 4 so that it can cater to the user's needs. So it can cater more to the user's needs. Okay? So the second time we will run this, what we are expecting is for a faster time. The reason why is because now there are more pods. As it is, there are 5 pods catering to that particular service. So there are 5 pods catering to your users. And as you can see, from 22, it has gone down to 10 seconds. And these pods would remain up, and it will give a grace period so that if your users decide, or if there is a lull in the application usage and there is a spike again, it still can cater to this application. So that is why it is on 5, and that is why the time has reduced. So it will stay here for a while. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's move on to the next bit. So the next bit is the serverless. So this is scaled to 0, meaning there is nothing, it is not using anybody's resource. It is just existing. Now what happens with this guy is if I go to the resource and I click on the application itself, the application will run. But if I go to this one and I click the application itself, you would see that it is scaling to 1 and it has scaled to 1, meaning that one pod has been created to cater for that particular application. And depending on your settings, you can say, okay, if nobody is using it, make it 0. If people start using it, increase the pod to a certain limit. And finally, what we want to show is the self-healing. So for this, I would want to do a side-by-side comparison. Okay. All right, so it's the self-healing. So on the left-hand side, we have our normal topology. And on the right-hand side, we are looking at a particular pod. We are looking at a particular pod called HTTPD simple demo. So containerized pods. So right now, we are inside the pod. We are inside the pod and we want to stop a particular service. We want to kill the HTTPD service. This scenario is talking about maybe something happened somewhere. Somebody has pressed something they were not supposed to press. And unfortunately, a service goes down. What we want to show is that this service is going to go down, and in the back end, OpenShift is going to say, okay, something is wrong with this pod. Let me restart. After restarting, if the pod still doesn't come up, OpenShift is going to spin another pod. So to keep things simple, what I'm going to do is I will kill the HTTPD process. And please keep an eye, because it's going to happen at the blink of an eye. Keep an eye out on this guy. What you are meant to see, or what you would see, is that it will go from 2 to 1 back to 2. So we build that anticipation. If I can get a drum roll, that would be fantastic. Boom. So now the pod is down. Are you seeing it? Very quick, very fun. So this is showing a particular use case. At this point in time, someone will say, why do I have 2 pods? I have 2 pods because I need to give the user constant access to that application. I don't want a situation where the moment they click, they will sync up in such a way that the moment they press enter, that's when the pod goes down. Unfortunately, I don't want a situation where there will be 0 pods. If there is a situation where there are 0 pods, that means at that particular point, no one can access the application. It spins up fast, but I don't want a situation where maybe it's a transaction. Maybe it's a wonderful transaction now that is about to happen. Somebody is about to send me 30 billion. You're thinking 20. I'm not here. I'm in the 30s. Somebody is about to send me 30 billion. Then the moment they press that enter, that's when their pod goes down. And the transaction doesn't now go through. The guy will now say, okay, don't worry, come back tomorrow. Tomorrow he has gone to Abuja. I'll try and meet him in Abuja. I will hear that he has gone to Dubai. So I don't want a situation where there will be a downtime. That's why it is better to have multiple pods. And that's why it is better to have multiple nodes in clusters. Quick explanation. A cluster is just, an OpenShift cluster is just a realm that has multiple worker nodes. You can have a master node. What those nodes are, they are individual machines that are running OpenShift. The individual machines that can do exactly what it is that I'm doing here. And when those pods spin up, they can be spun on all those individual nodes. So everything is not reliant on this particular machine. If this particular machine goes down, I can easily access another node while that guy is being brought back up. Now, so that you people will not say that I ran away, if we come and check back at this guy, no, stop it. Sorry, let me just reload. It's a timing thing. Believe me, it works. So. Believe me, it works. It's a timing thing. So I just need to do a quick reload so that guy will turn back to 1 and peace will reign in my heart. Okay. I just hope that that command stopped running. Okay, the command stops running. It's back at 1. I didn't do anything. It just went back at 1. So what has happened here is that it has seen a spike. If I go to the Observe tab, it saw a spike in usage. It saw a spike in usage and spun up more pods. The easier way to look at it is using the memory. Inspection. So that gives us a clearer example on what happened. So don't worry, I'm done. So that gives us a clearer memory of what happened. So right now, you are seeing that this pod is being utilized at, so the setting I set it to is when it reaches 600 memory usage, it should spin it up. So it was running and it was allowing at 600. Then at this point, that was when the inflow of people came in. And immediately, it started spinning other pods. And those pods, if I go to them, you would see that they are sharing between 500 and 600 memory usage. This is not the limit of my pod or container. This is just to show the ability for it to auto-scale up. And if you move to the side, it comes back down, and it shows that it is only 1 pod that is up. At this point in time, this concludes my demonstration of OpenShifts.
Awesome stuff, Anthony, for making OpenShift sound fun, even though it looks fun. Thank you for this insightful demonstration. We are gradually approaching the end of this meeting. We promised you 12 o'clock, and 12 o'clock we would keep. You can see at this point, if you remember the agenda I shared earlier, we will be taking closing remarks. There will be a question and answer. Don't worry. I know the tea break looked elaborate, but we do have a more elaborate lunch, right, at the restaurant. And so, what? We'll do the Q&A now. We'll do a Q&A now, and then after the Q&A, you can go for lunch, and then there'll be a closing remark from Mr. Akan and the Red Hat team. Believe it or not, Toby is still online, and he's been following the proceedings of the meeting, so you'd see him live very soon. So Q&A, I know I saw people jotting down, so I hope. Do we have a spare mic? All right, so so if you can just signify, I'd send the mic down to you. I'm not going to throw it. I would have someone. Okay. Thank you very much. He has a question. Do you mind introducing yourself and the organization, and then you can ask a question?
Is on the Ansible, which is, I think that's the orchestration platform. Very beautiful presentation and demo. But we all know today, in most organizations, especially when you look at the CFO will always be on, optimizing your cost. So I'm looking at it. I want us to look at it from the point of, not just making the application a nice to have, you understand, to make sure that it is a must have. And when you are looking at it to be a must have, then you look at, okay, what other what consolidation can you do? For instance, I can see, yes, in the area of infrastructure management, infrastructure provisioning, yeah, it handles it well, but I don't know if it also does process automation. Process automation in the, looking at, for instance, today you have reconciliation. I don't know, does he also, can he do something like that? You have a customer who does a transaction that fails, you want to be able to do some matching with those transactions to see how you can reconcile, things. So I want to know if that is also part of the capability of the Ansible. Then for open shift, yeah, it's I think I can also said something around it for maybe new organizations. Yes, when you are developing, you're just starting with new applications. Good, but for organizations that have been existing, you have legacy applications. Even you might not even say legacy. For instance, if you look at your core banking platform, I don't know how many core banking platforms today have been adapted to, you understand, to run containerized. So I just want to have an idea of what's the adoption like in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question, sir. So, I don't know, do you want us to take all the questions first and then?
Okay. I think if you're taking notes of the questions, then we can take them all together. So, do we have any other questions? Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I thought you wanted to give it. Okay, I want to say thank you for putting up this training. Thank you very much. So the question is, I want to start from when he said about a bank that you just transfer within 3 seconds, you just get an alert. So my name is Success, by the way. I'm a linear system engineer. I work with a financial institution. Financial institution. Okay, so one of the issues I want to address is, most banks, they do more vendor. So the vendor build these other applications. And when you have issues, there's limits you can do to solve most of those issues. So what will you prefer? Do you feel we can start building ours by ourselves? Is there a training? Is there a way we can build our application ourselves so we can include most of these things in it? That is one. Number two, when you talk about repetitive tasks, now I'm running an application and I'm seeing an error. And maybe a storage is masking out or the disk. Now, if there are times I need to know what the problem is. So if it might be a process that I need to kill, but if this automation can just create a new disk, it can also cause a cost. It can be a cost on the bank because we pay for CPU per core. So if it's going to create a new disk, so I'm actually we are getting a cost instead of we to check what the problem is. So there might be process that a database might be consuming. So all we need to do is to kill this process and instead of putting more space. So the question is, with this automation to actually check if it's a process issue or which issue it is without just creating a new disk? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I just want to confirm that we have that questions. We understand that question is okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richard. I work with UBA. Okay, so mine is just like a more of clarification and then practical scenarios. Is on answerable. What we are seeing today is that, like what I can mention is that when a service stops or degradation of the service, a lot of money is being lost. And then we're talking about user experience. It's a bad user experience. So I'm interested in that. How do we now use this answerable tool innovate our ideas? How do we now integrate it with our services and application to be able to auto-remediate our service instead of every time you are stopping a service, you are restarting a service, you can make it a process. So with this solution, I believe that the issue of service degradation and then service stopping, even you don't have that cost, this applying a solution. On it. Then number two is that issue of, we have scenario whereby a service freeze. So on the status, you don't even know that this service have stopped or this service is not working. So how do we use Ansible to, how does it imply in this kind of situation? Because I should know that almost everybody experience this kind of scenario. A system, a service freeze like 5 minutes, and we assume that everything is working fine. And when you calculate for digital experience, digital channels, 5 minutes of the time of service is a lot of, especially when you are using, you are managing an enterprise environment like Nigeria, Africa, and the world. The kind of, when you quantify it in terms of numbers and value, how much I've lost. So that's all. I think I'm okay.
Thank you very much, Richard. Okay, Ephraim.
Okay, my name is Ephraim. I work with InterSwitch. So I have two questions. One is on the Ansible. Would want to know, so if we have this platform already working for us, would want to know how we can get the module collections for all the vendors. So I know today we have Cisco, they have their own collections. We have VMware, they have their own collections. So how can we import these collections, excuse me, into the Ansible platform? And how can we ensure that their update is automatic? So when they have new collections, the platform should be able to pull it. Secondly, on OpenStack, I understood from what he presented that we'll have the basic OpenStack Kubernetes engine. We have for containerization, and we have the like 3 of them. Yeah, so for a customer that wants just the basic and wants to use existing tools to implement the other ones, is it possible? Can we integrate our existing tools into OpenShift to be able to do some of the other services?
Thank you very much. Sorry, do you mind saying the earlier part of the first question? Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. So today, different vendors have collections module for Ansible. So how do we import the module into the Ansible platform? And then how do we ensure that it's automated? Like when they have new collections, the system should be able to pull it into, yeah.
Okay, got you. Thank you very much. Do we have, we can still take a few more questions? Okay, awesome. Okay, Nibs.
Hello everyone, my name is Isaac. I work with Nigerian Interbank Settlement. So from what I understand, the two different solutions are kind of not independent per se. I mean, Ansible is for operation and Slack, as he said, OpenShift here is for scalability. So you didn't clarify in your demo the pods, how were they set up? Is it possible to use Ansible to set them up prior to the auto scalability? And is there any product that works better than the other? Can Ansible be integrated into the OpenShift? I think I need clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for those very insightful questions. So we'll be going straight to answers. We have Red Hat on standby. So you'll be best to use this mic and to move closer to the computer. You could repeat the questions so that Toby can hear.
Okay. Anthony and Chiwen, do you want to take any questions first before I jump in? Maybe just let them have a microphone, please, if you don't mind. Toby, I believe you can hear us. So we're going to be jumping into the answers. So please stop us at any point if you want to make your inputs as well as we go through the questions.
All right, then. We'll pay attention to the questions. We struggle to hear them because of the echo in the background. But if someone will be repeating the questions now,
excellent.
Myself and Renani will be on standby to respond to that.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yes, that is very good. We'll repeat the questions, ask before we answer them.
All right, then.
Okay, so thank you very much for the questions. I'll be taking a bit of answering some of the questions on Ansible, and then I can pass to Rendani to address others. So let me start from someone asked how to get the models, like the different models that Ansible, the content collection models already existing. So you have the hybrid crowd that you can use your normal login details to redhat.com and log in and access the hybrid crowd where these content collections are. Then you have the automation hub. So while installing your Ansible, it's not just the controller. You can install your automation hub to your environment. And in your automation hub, you can use your credential to bring in this content collection to your automation hub and use it directly from there to your playbook. Then someone talked about, I didn't really get the question, but I tried to jot down some things. So Ansible does disaster recovery, because I think it's you, sir, you were saying something around how to, I didn't really get the question well, but I know it's towards... yes.
Okay, his question was, let me use the mic. His question was, the banks lose money during outages. Okay, how do we integrate Ansible so as to remediate the services when the services degrade? His question was particularly about service degradation in A and B. The first one is when the service degrades gradually and continuously until probably it's almost at bare level of service level. And then, but it's easy to tell, that the service is maybe gone out completely or is degraded. But his second question is when it's more difficult to tell because it's not gone out, it's just stored. So the service actually listed there, but it's just not trafficking any data. So how does Ansible sort of play there?
Okay, thank you. So Ansible have like a workflow in your templates. So instead of running your templates one after another, you can connect them with workflow. So from this question, you can actually put a workflow that sends an alert to your sysadmin if a particular service is not responding. So this playbook will be such that you check for the service. Ansible will ensure that this service is running, that is started and running. Then once it notices that, okay, this service is not running or it can't contact the service, then it can send an email. It has a email notification that can be sent to your sysadmin to say something is wrong with this particular service. So I don't know if that answers your question, sir. Okay.
Just to add to that, Ansible on its own can monitor specific services or configurations as the case may be. But how about just taking Ansible to where it does best, which is automation, and leaving your application performance monitoring tools to the actual monitoring, because they have embedded artificial intelligence in them that baselines the performance of your applications against maybe 30-day baselines and 60-day baselines, so that when they see a service degradation, not Ansible, I mean your App Dynamics sees the service degradation and flags that the service is degraded, then it kicks off and fires an Ansible playbook to automatically go and whether restart that service or rejig that service or shut down something or something to ensure that the service is restored. So her answer is good, which is that Ansible can actually do the check, but that could be static. It could be a static list of things that you are checking. But the APM allows you to do it dynamically. It's monitoring everything. And if anything deviates from standard, it goes maybe standard deviation 1 or 2 or 3, it fires a playbook. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to highlight 2 questions. I think they both came from this angle. This is InterSwitch, yes? Okay. Someone asked if Ansible or if OpenShift can be integrated with Ansible in terms of creating the pods and basically just doing this automatically. So the short answer to that is yes. So you can actually use Ansible or you can actually integrate OpenShift with Ansible. So in terms of the pod creation, in terms of the auto scalability, you are free to use Ansible to do that. So someone said something about the 2 products being either codependent or being independent. I'm not too sure of the word that was used there. So I would say they can work independently of each other, but for ease of life, the definition of computer that year in school was to make life easy for us. So for ease of life, it is better to integrate those 2 products together, and that one would aid in your application modernization journey. The second one had to do with, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, can you use your existing tools to? So the existing tools, I'm believing, okay, maybe with the bells and whistles I was talking about, let's say you have, maybe in your normal DevOps environment, you're using something like Prometheus, or you are using a different tool, either for monitoring or for storage. Yes, OpenShift has the ability. It has many plugins. If we're talking storage, you have your container network interfaces. You have your container storage interfaces. I mentioned Prometheus. OpenShift is built in Prometheus. So it has all those plugins available to you. Most of the plugins that you are using in terms of your test environment, I am 80 to 90% sure they are already integrated with OpenShift. So those are the 2 questions from the top of my head.
Just to clarify on that last question from Ephraim, he was asking that in Ansible you showed different base models, like different subscription tiers, right? In OpenShift, sorry. You showed different subscription tiers. So the base and then what you coined the Pro Max. So it's saying if it's subscribed to the base model, right, that can they use other services to manage some of the perks of the other tiers? So for instance, OpenShift Manage Engine, can they use something else, that they already have and integrate it to the base subscription? So that was kind of the question.
Let me see if I can make life a little bit easier for InterSwitch. Red Hat is here. Toby will tell Toby to put his video on. He will assure you that you don't have to settle for the lower one. They will give you whatever you require to get into the strata that works for InterSwitch. So rest assured, we will look into it after the session.
Okay, so there is a question on Ansible. It said, does Ansible check before remediation, like an issue, remediation of an issue, or is it just creating a new? Okay, I think it's a question around disk creation that Ansible will help you and maybe create a new disk when you are masking out. So the question is, does it check first? Yes, it has to check. For Ansible to know that it's masking out, it means that it's already in your system and you see that something is happening in your system. So definitely it has already made the check before it's spin out creating new disk for you. So you talked about cost. The cost implication of creating more storage. I understand what you're saying, but in that scenario, will you actually maybe prefer your service to go down and you lose money because you don't want to spend more money? Something like that.
Let me see if I can add to that answer. So the question has a root cause component to it. Will Ansible first determine the root cause before applying the fix? Your APM tool should identify the root cause. And then when it has identified the root cause, you then integrate with Ansible to fire a playbook to fix it. So the APM tool has inbuilt artificial intelligence to tell that this particular service degradation is not because of disk, it's not because of memory, it's because of heap space on the JVMs. And then you can then fire up a playbook to go and do something about it. I think that may answer that. Okay. I think there's just a few more. There's a question regarding, the first question actually, process automation. Yes. So there's robotics process automation tools that, the way we like to describe it in Converge is like this. Any system that has a command line, whether it is Windows CLI, Windows PowerShell, Linux Bash, Juniper, Cisco iOS, Aristo, Dios, whatever, any tool that has a command line, Ansible can automate it. Now, if you think about Microsoft Excel, it doesn't have a command line. Think about Microsoft Word. Unfortunately, they don't have power command lines. Ansible cannot or will not extend to those. However, that introduces us to the other brother, the half-sister of automation, which is robotics process automation, RPA. And these RPA tools have tools like UiPath that do mouse on the screen, so screen scrape. You can take a mouse, you can do something on an Excel sheet and press record, and your RPA tools will do it after you have finished exactly what you did. Go to this cell, put a formula there, go to this cell, arrange it like that, color that one, and you play it, and it will just, you see the mouse moving on the screen, and you replace exactly what you did. They are those tools. They can create, you can point them to a folder, they can take text files from the folder, convert them to PDF, add your logo, add your address, and then just spill out PDFs and email it to all your customers and give you a report. So that's not Ansible, that's RPA. Is there any question we missed? Third-party ISVs. Okay. The question on third-party ISVs, can they limit what banks can do and what your companies can do? The simple answer is, unfortunately, yes. Some of the ISVs are not forward-leaning and may not build their technologies on some of these cutting-edge platforms. However, there is always something that you can do to mandate in terms of standardization to ensure that your ISVs comply with your own service levels and so on. However, what you can also do, and we've seen companies do, is mandate their ISVs to integrate and implement application performance monitoring tools, because even though the application code belongs to your ISV, the data and the customers and the service belongs to your bank. So they can keep their code, but as for those your customers and your service, you must monitor them. So you put your agents there for your APM to monitor those applications, and of course, when your APM tools are monitoring the applications that the ISVs have brought, you integrate those APM tools to Ansible to fire automation playbooks to remediate any service degradation that is there. But please, every company must ensure that its ISVs remember that the code belongs to you, but the service and the customer is ours. Some ISVs will say it's a third-party environment, there are multiple users. No, they must give you a multi-tenant environment where it's your customers that are on that environment so that you can instrument it and get the performance off of those platforms and monitor how your customers are faring. And then when you can do that, then of course you can run playbooks on those environments as well. Brilliant. Rendani. Rendani has given some answers here as well. For the UBA, the answer is to integrate Ansible with monitoring tools. Fantastic. For automated remediation, use playbooks for service restarts, resource optimization, and failover. Enable self-healing scripts for proactive issue resolution. Thank you, Rendani. The next response there is Ansible has got EDA. Yes, event-driven automation. This will help if the system is configured with failover. EDA can help to failover the system as well. Yes, we saw that during the presentation. Thank you so much, Rendani, for that, for those inputs. Any more? Okay. I think we're done with the questions. Any other questions? Just repeat for me.
Okay, you're just saying that the person that asked the process automation question wasn't here, but here is now. So what the answer to your question is that Ansible automates anything that has command line. So if you think of maybe an application, but it doesn't have a command line, there, so there is no communication to it, but there is robotic process automation where you can have tools like UPath that actually does can automate your mouse movements. So in those aspects, maybe UPaths are one of the solutions that can help in that aspect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we've got a follow-up question. Okay. Let it be stated that we did finish on time. So just in case we invite you next time.
Not quite a question, really. So from an operations point of view, Ansible and OpenShift, sorry. So I've used Ansible, and let me just give you a practical example what Ansible does. It's not really a question, as I said. So in a case of maybe you are using, let me be very practical. For example, you consume Redis technology. For some reason, your Site 1 Redis application hosted on a container on a server is having issue, and you need to fail over to the disaster recovery. Ansible is what you use to do that update across all maybe your NIP servers or your Postilion servers. And in an instance, they have the new IPs pointing to the DR location, Site 2, and you are fine. Within 5-10 minutes, your system has recovered, since Redis was the issue. But in a point of the auto-shift will be a case whereby you originally planned for, say, 10,000 customers, but you have maybe InterSwitch pushing 100,000 transactions. So what OpenShift will do for you is to increase the number of servers you have. That's the point where I was asking if Ansible could be integrated, because maybe you don't have those number of pods pre-created somewhere already. Maybe they don't exist, but if Ansible is there, Ansible could easily see that, okay, we need to recreate the servers across so that they can accommodate more traffic. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, it's just a follow-up question. Now, we have different monitoring tools, like we use Manage Engine, Metadata, and the rest. But I'm very clear what she said about once you have a command line, it can be integrated. So now I'm asking for Ansible, is there other platform, maybe OpenShift or other tools that can get together that I will not be able to use Manage Engine and the rest? Why I'm asking, because banks and organizations don't want to cut costs. So if I'm using Manage Engine or Metadata or any of those platform, and it's giving me almost everything I want. Why am I also want to incur another cost by using Ansible and the rest? So if I want to integrate, can I just move from this metadata, all of this application, straight to Ansible and any other tools that can be used? That is one. Number two, some other company too might not want to do POC, because in the process of POC, there are many data and information that is being exposed to the vendor in that process, and it's not mandatory, and it's not certain that they will move on with those applications. So we need to convince them first to be able to say, okay, there's a likelihood that we can go with all of those things. So lastly, now for the network team, I have switch, I have firewall, and I have different banks in different geopolitical zone that is being listed on my server. Now, if an issue is happening maybe in Maiduguri, and a particular branch in Maiduguri having an issue, how will I trace it to a particular, trace it down to that is this branch that's having network issue, and what the network issue is, and like able to fix it immediately, or escalate the matter to maybe end user support or any other department that can undo the issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those very practical questions. Okay, Chiwendu.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I will start from the last question, which you tried to address geopolitical zone and network issues. Okay, so I will come into the question from this angle. Ansible has role-based access control is such that maybe you have different branches. You can try to add it to different organizations in your Ansible automation platform. So now this different organization can be maybe in that particular geopolitical zone. I believe there is a network administrator there too. So that network administrator is there and is working on the Ansible, maybe the templates that are created for the network team. So it's such that when he logs in, he's going to see only the things that are applicable to that particular geopolitical zone. So now you don't need to be at the headquarters and start thinking about them, because they're already managing their own templates from that end. So from there, he can actually track what is going on. So I don't know if this answers the question. So sorry, I didn't really, the second question that you asked, I didn't really get it very well.
So, some companies don't want to do a POV for security reasons. How do you
Okay. You don't want to do a proof of concept for that particular application because of security issues. How do you pass that?
Okay. There are many solutions. You can do it on your test environment. It preserves your production data. You can even do it on your staging environment. It preserves your production data as well. But your test environment or your production or your staging, most of these have the application that you want to monitor or that you want to see. Now, in terms of the Maiduguri scenario, that's a typical monitoring problem. Your APM tool will show you a map of Nigeria and show you where each of your users are connecting from, a geographic map, and it will show you a heat on Maiduguri and say this is where. In fact, your APM tool will even tell you if most of your users that are having problems are iOS users. In Converge, we have a small battle which is better Android or iOS. I'm not going to bring it here before I split the room. It's a battle that is ongoing. But I think the Android users are winning so far. So the tool will tell you if most of the users on iOS or Android are having the issue. So it will trace it down to your geography, your type of phone, your type of browser, even the browser version. It will tell you the last banking app you released, new one has less or more. So it gives you a lot of information. So an APM tool is a must-have. I know that they're a bit pricey, but whatever is priority in your business, you can just scope it for an APM tool like AppDynamics, you deploy it, and you know that at least on that topic you have rest because you have visibility on your customers' experience all the way to their devices. It's a must-have.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very practical answer. I think it's a good place to rest this meeting while we go back to South Africa, and then we hear directly from the horse's mouth. Toby, is Toby ready? So you can put off this chat.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Ansible and OpenShift can play a significant role in helping you save on resource time, on man hours, in helping you scale and accelerating your time of deploying codes to production and taking services out there to your customers for utilization and consumption. Cost savings and cost optimization has become more and more of a relevant topic that needs to be discussed. We would definitely love to see us have more conversation on how OpenShift and Ansible can help you drive cost saving across your environment. Those are pertinent conversations that our partners bring to us. Those are pertinent conversations we would like to come back to you to discuss. How is this relevant in your environment? Without the bespoke knowledge of how this evolves within your environment, it's going to be very difficult to actually bring to you a finite response on how you can leverage these various capabilities. With regards to the conversations with which we started the session today, AI, machine learning, serverless, amongst several others, those are also topics that we need to discuss more and more of. With Red Hat's partnership with various OEMs like NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, and so many others, including IBM, our mother company, there's so much more that we can offer you. In terms of our partnership, we've been able to utilize this to simplify, secure, and transform enterprise AI experience. Red Hat hasn't stopped there. We've set out and launched a Red Hat Enterprise Linux AI Foundation that brings AI capabilities to the foundation of your technology environments as far as the baseline of your infrastructure. These are things we would like to share more and more with to help you as users seamlessly develop, test, deploy generative AI models in your environment. When we also look at the Red Hat Knative API projects, that enables each and every one of your developers focus more on application development without even bothering about the development languages or the development infrastructure. We want to teach, we want to educate you on how you can tie your application to event streams that will enable you scale to meet demands as required in your environment. With all of this that I've said, we look at certain factors that are highlighted: saving resource time, eliminating under-provisioning, that brings about loss of revenue in your environments due to poor service quality when you render services to customers, or over-provisioning issues that leads to revenue waste. And, running legacy workloads as well on containers, running VMs on containers, rapid development, rapid deployment, and optimization of your resources. This are a whole lot that we cannot exhaust on just a few hours of an event. We would like to bring this into your environment, so we look forward to you sharing more of your time and availability with the team on ground. We will be in country from next week. We would like to meet with you. We would like to connect to discuss some of this and look at how can we bring some of these concerns to a point where we prefer solutions jointly and not alone, to ensure that at the end of the day, you're profitable, you're valuable, and return on investment is realized starting from day one when you invest. So with that being said, I'll pass the baton back to the floor there. But if my colleague Rendani would like to chip in a few points, please feel free. The floor is yours. You're on mute, Rendani.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me clear?
Loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Toby. Look, thanks for making time. I know you guys has been like a very challenging experience, and I don't think this is the experience that we wanted you to have and to learn. And as Toby said, that we are still available to set up and in the sessions to dive deeper into the areas where you might be really interested. And as much as like the event has been set up, and then yes, it's like your gateway to, and then to connect to us, but it doesn't really mean that we can only interact and then in this kind of a setting. Then we can interact anytime, whenever that you feel that you've got the need that we can actually help you to work with and address you. So I would like to thank you for your time, and I hope to meet and connect with all of you soon.
Thank you very much, Toby and Regani.
August event, because it's happened at the back of a public holiday, and then there's another public holiday coming up. Whoop, whoop. But thank you so much for making our time.
You're most welcome. And maybe just taking you back
yes.
a second.
A user group come out of the attendees that we have in today's session.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I can chime in there.
Not just within a minute. A user group is a very powerful community that Red Hat will drive. It would bring innovation, innovative thinking, use cases, product knowledge. It will allow us to share information. It will allow us to get closer a bit together and share solutions to some of the challenges. We've seen it work in other countries and regions in amazing ways. It allows you to almost become a nerve, connecting a global knowledge scenario with your individual, unique areas within your organization. So I really, really thank Toby for being willing to sponsor and to drive that. We would definitely reach out to you to invite you into a structured user group. It would not take any more time of yours than is required and deliver value on the back of that. So thank you, Toby, and thank you for each one of you too. Okay, closing remarks. It gives me great pleasure to wrap up and draw the curtains here. Please don't go. We have lunch. We thank you so much for coming through. And we look forward to further conversations after this to strengthen the knowledge that has been shared here. Please reach out to anybody that you see and we'll answer any questions that you have as well. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Lunch is served. I think that's safe.